Tonight we are following two big stories. Today marks the one-year anniversary of the Babb Road wildfire that decimated the towns of Malden and Pine City. And in North Idaho, an unprecedented move as Kootenai Health has activated what is called crisis standards of care. This is they are quickly running out of space and resources to treat a surge in COVID patients.
Some of you may be wondering, what does this mean for you, particularly if you live in North Idaho? What it means is if you go to the hospital, you should expect a longer wait time. You may not be seen in a traditional space. In fact, you may be seen in a classroom or a hallway, or you may be sent to a different hospital that has more capacity.
Today, the director of the Idaho Department of Health and Welfare, they're pleading with the public to please get vaccinated as Kootenai Health has activated again what is called that crisis level of care. When it comes to COVID cases and hospitalizations, no place in the state is worse off than North Idaho. Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 10 tonight. I'm Mark Hanrahan. Officials at Kootenai Health say they are already stretched thin. If patient capacities continue to increase, the level of care they can provide will suffer, they say. So let's take a look at the numbers tonight. As of earlier today, the hospital was caring for 113 COVID-19 patients. Of those, 39 were in the ICU and 19 were on ventilators. The hospital has already converted conference and classroom space into bed space for COVID patients. Meantime, Chief of Staff Dr. Robert Scoggin says 90% of the COVID patients they are treating in the hospital are unvaccinated. And unlike the previous waves, the Delta variant is impacting more and younger patients.
I think that the thing that's really changed for us has been seeing that younger patients are dying from this. And it's quite disturbing to see these patients declining, and they're what I would consider healthy. They're normal, everyday North Idaho people.
Dr. Scoggin says with the region's vaccination rate sitting at right around 40%, he believes the number of COVID patients will just continue to increase. Meantime, Governor Brad Little has reactivated about 150 National Guardsmen to help, and the Pentagon sent a team of about 20 people to help nurse and physicians at the hospital. Healthcare leaders again pleading with people to please get vaccinated. They say they are free, effective, and by far the best way to stay out of the hospital if you do get COVID. And it's not just the hospitals being impacted by this surge in cases. As KREM 2's Morgan Trout reports tonight, the latest wave is also taking a toll on first responders.
Kootenai County Fire and Rescue says they are facing a 15% increase in calls this year from last year. And with more calls comes longer wait times. The fire chief says that days, hours, or even just minutes could be a matter of life and death. The Idaho Department of Health and Welfare has activated crisis standards of care, which are guidelines that help healthcare providers in how to deliver the best possible care in a public health emergency. This comes as doctors say resources are being stretched to their limits. But they aren't the only ones impacted by the increase in COVID patients.
We can't let it get to the point like it did last year where we lose the ability to take care of people because it's too late.
Kootenai County Fire and Rescue Fire Chief Chris Way says he hasn't seen this region this bad since COVID first began.
We're seeing really, really sick patients. We know that some of them won't survive. I mean, just because they've waited so long to get care, or because we're in this position of having hundreds of people that need care at the same time.
Way says that they are now having to prioritize certain calls over others.
Whereas before we probably didn't have that. Maybe, a person having to wait for an ambulance or even a fire engine to get there is, now we're getting busier to where we see that happening.
He says he is in constant communication with the hospital and talks to them daily to find out their bed availability and stress level.
We're still dealing with an increased fire load. We're dealing with increased medical calls, an increase in population to this area, which those three things combined have really made it a challenging summer.
To help out fire and rescue, firefighters and EMS are urging community members to be extra cautious about their health and safety. So far, no one has been rejected from Kootenai Health once they've brought them here, but they worry that in the future, as cases continue to decline, that there won't be enough beds or space, which may lead to more fatalities. In Coeur d'Alene, Morgan Trout, KREM 2 News.
And for more information about Kootenai Health and other North Idaho hospitals making the transition to this crisis standards of care, just text the word COVID to 509-448-2000 and we'll send the latest information directly to your phone. Another big story tonight, Gonzaga men's head basketball coach Mark Few cited for a DUI last night in Coeur d'Alene. Brenna Green joins us as Few just made a statement tonight.
Yeah, Few was called in by a driver who spotted him driving erratically and speeding. He did not complete field sobriety tests, but did blow a .12 blood alcohol level. The legal limit is .08. A DUI in Idaho can mean up to 6 months in jail, a fine up to $1,000, and a license suspension up to 180 days. Here's the statement issued from Few tonight. It is long, so bear with me. I believe as a leader and role model, I am expected to set only the best example. The decisions I made yesterday do not exemplify this standard, and for that, I sincerely apologize to you all. I recognize that operating a motor vehicle after consuming any amount of alcohol exhibits poor judgment. Regardless of the outcome of the pending investigation, I will never allow such a lapse in judgment to occur again. Please know that I am committed to learning from this mistake and will work to earn back your trust in me. I deeply regret disappointing any of the members of the community, the young women and men who comprise my campus community and the university as a whole. In particular, I am sorry for the hurt that I have caused to those most important to me, my family, my players, and my program. I am exceedingly grateful to those who continue to offer support to me, especially my wife and children. Thank you. Okay. So let's talk about what this could mean for the team. The only real precedence we have is when Gonzaga basketball player Josh Perkins was caught drunk asleep in a running car in 2016. He was arrested for DUI and suspended for 2 games. That suspension was served over the team's exhibition game and Gonzaga's first game of the season. Few was actively driving, according to the police report. Depending upon how this plays out in court, this could be a longer suspension. If it goes longer than 2 games, that's a big deal, as Gonzaga's 3rd game of the season, counting the exhibition game, is against Texas in the Kennel. That will be a top 5 preseason matchup, and in my eyes, it's the biggest game in Kennel history. If Mark Few is not on the sideline for that contest, we simply don't know who will be coaching the Zags. Last year, it would have been easy. It would have been Tommy Lloyd, but Tommy is in Arizona now. We don't know for sure who is the official number 2 on Gonzaga's staff. Is it Brian Michelson or Roger Powell? Unless something unprecedented happens, looks like we could find out this season. The first time as of tonight that we are slated to speak with Mark Few is in a month at Craziness in the Kennel. That event takes place on October 9th. Back to you.
Brenna, thank you very much. All right, let's take a pause from the headlines for a moment to talk weather. It was a beautiful day across the inland Northwest today, and tomorrow's forecast looking to be another warm one. Let's get straight to meteorologist Thomas Patrick in our Outdoor Weather Center. And Thomas, we know it's going to be nice tomorrow, but let's talk about the smoke. Will we remain smoke-free tomorrow?
Doesn't look like it. We did see a bit of that haze return to the area recently, including a bit for today. I do think that hazy skies will be around, but nothing terribly severe in terms of that. Meanwhile, the alert that we have for tomorrow is a fire weather watch. That's usually the precedent to a red flag warning, which it will likely get upgraded to tomorrow. That for dry and windy conditions. Have a bit of a weather system that's just grazing the Oregon coast right now. It's actually a warm front. This is going to slide through the Cascades tonight and early tomorrow morning. Might actually give us even a chance for rain before we start to see the wind and perhaps the haze or the smoke later on in the afternoon. So it could actually be a busy 24 hours ahead of us, but that haze is going to be here or there across eastern Washington, not just tomorrow, but for perhaps for a couple more days. I'll show you how long we might be dealing with the smoky conditions, all coming up in a few minutes.
All right, we'll talk to you then, Thomas. Thank you very much. Well, on this day, 1 year ago, a wildfire destroyed the towns of Malden and Pine City in just a few hours. Wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour sent the fire racing across 15,000 acres. Well, now the town is still rebuilding, one day at a time. On the anniversary of this devastating fire, KREB 2's Amanda Rowley went back to where it all started on Babb Road.
Wind, trees, and power lines. Each of these on their own are generally harmless. Together, they can wipe out 85% of a town. On Labor Day last year, they did.
It was just a shock at how much and how fast. I mean, within 2 hours, just the path of destruction within 2 hours was just amazing.
Clint Myers spent the early part of that day harvesting spring wheat about 5 miles away from where the fire started. Just before noon, he saw what was brewing off Babb Road.
Like the roaring sound of the fire, just like a low rumble, you know, as it moved on. Because we were fairly close, it's a distinct sound.
Wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour pushed the Babb fire across 15,000 acres. You can hear the panic in the 911 calls.
The flame was shooting up and into the trees.
It's heading toward my house. It's heading to the east.
We started getting texts from people asking if we were cutting in that area. Did we start a fire? So then we shut down. By the time we got here, it was pretty much starting to really pick up, the wind and the fire.
That's when he realized that roaring fire started just feet from his crops. As it grew, so did the numb feeling inside of Myers.
But anytime you're seeing your crops burn is just kind of a numb feeling when you can't do anything about it. From where we were down in this area, there wasn't anything that we could do. It was just too dangerous.
He lost about 60 acres of malt barley in the fire.
It was insured, not a big deal. Lots of people lost a lot more than we did.
It has jumped the road and heading to Malden, and there is nobody down there.
The town of Malden and Pine City lost 120 homes and 100 other buildings that day.
In the early stages of the Babb fire, witnesses who live across these fields reported fire and smoke about 40 feet in size at the base of these trees, heading south up these hills. Now, the Washington Department of Natural Resources started its investigation at this tree.
DNR's report blames this damaged ponderosa pine next to Myers' land. It says the fire started after a branch fell on an Avista power line during high winds. It does not specifically blame Avista for not inspecting or removing it, but it does say closer inspection of the tree was warranted. The power company says the cause of the fire was extraordinary wind conditions. It also claims the ponderosa pine was located outside of the power company's right-of-way. 3 days after the fire, Myers searched for perspective of the damage and captured these images from his plane. A year later, back where it all started, Myers is still trying to make sense of what happened.
Things were cleared pretty well in this area. It wasn't like they had been neglected. It's a big tree, high winds. I mean, it was easy for it to hit it, you know.
Wind, trees, and power lines, all harmless ingredients that make a recipe for an unforgettable disaster.
That was Amanda Roldy reporting. All right, still ahead tonight, a look at who is helping with the ongoing recovery efforts in Malden and Pine City, plus what still needs to be done in the recovery process. And a little later on, the Coeur d'Alene School District started their classes today, what that looks like and how it differs from other local school districts. We're back after a quick break.